Everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
It is a beautiful morning and a beautiful day.
Yeah, it sure is. It's hard to keep my eyes on the road when I'm driving.
Morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Just going live, ladies. Good morning.
And Mary Beth, give me a holler later. Just catch me up on John Genovese.
He hasn't responded.
Okay.
So I'm just thinking he's probably, like you said, didn't he have surgery?
I think today, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's give him a day or so. I'll check on him tomorrow. I'll call him tomorrow.
Yeah, just that he was telling people that he was finishing. Yeah. Yeah. I knew nothing about it, heard about it from an agent.
Oh, okay. Let me get us to go inside the group.
Oh, look at the new coif. Cheryl, the new coif.
What?
New coif, your hair.
My hair.
It looks great.
Look beautiful
you.
this morning, Cheryl. Makeup and everything.
Patty, you're aging yourself. What is a coif?
I was like, well, what?
Now listen, if I can't age myself, who can?
We
I got
are
here.
who we are.
I'm grateful to be here.
Awesome.
A coif is, look it up. C-O-I. Paula, you're shaking your head.
I know the word very well. It comes from the Greek word coiffure.
Actually,
Of course.
I'm brilliant.
That one.
It's French, actually.
All right. Well,
But I
good
have to look
morning.
at it. I'm too young.
You are. You look beautiful today. All right. So here we are. We're at 172. Ladies, Orly, Patty, how are we?
You're
And any other exciting things happened this week? Last week it was the wedding. Anything this week?
Got new recruits.
Yeah.
Joined our office.
Oh, yay.
Hey.
Yay. New family. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that for
job.
you. Good job.
My new admin started this week.
How's she doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah. So far so good. 2 days in, but so far so good.
You
So
know, you
Cheryl,
walk into
how-
your office and you feel such good positive energy. So
How
Yeah.
is that working relationship? Like we were talking about last week with the organizational model and the training piece of this. How are you finding having somebody you're responsible for and now training them? How is that going for you?
Yeah. So it's, I will, full disclosure, I was very nervous about it. And Monday morning when she came in, I was actually the one who was tense all morning long.
Sure.
But you know what? I gave the training over to Reese. So she's going to do a lot of it. So that takes a lot off of my plate, a lot. It helps me feel more confident that somebody else is going to train her properly and free me up so I can, because I'm pretty busy right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it's working. It's, I'm in the office, I'm up, I'm early, I'm getting in there, I'm getting her ready, and
You're running a business. You're running a business.
Yeah.
yeah, it was funny because Monday morning when she came, because I do have a buyer's agent, and it was the first time I actually said in my entire career, welcome to our first team meeting.
Oh, congratulations. That's so exciting. Cheryl, you've literally gone through the E to P we started talking about in the beginning. Like you're the example of the book right now. You're living it.
yeah.
I'm trying. I'm really
You're doing.
I'm doing it, and it's something that I've always wanted to do, and so
Wow.
it's time.
Awesome. Well, good job. What I'm hearing are a few things. Number one is you're showing up as a leader, getting into the office in the morning, treating it, Orly said, as a business. Now, doors open, somebody's got to open up the doors, right? And then I hear you saying that you were nervous because it was important to you. It was important to you to get this right. And to also now you have somebody you're responsible for. Are you doing right by them? Are they doing right by you? This is the phase that you're going to be in. There's going to be a lot of trust that you're going to build with this person at this level. And, you have to do your job, which is show up and make sure that they're armed with everything they need to know. So please remember having that cash talk weekly so that that person feels supported. You know, the knowledge, cash, knowledge, attitude, skills, habits. And I think I posted out that form. If not, I'll just go ahead and share it out with you ladies. But just make sure you do that, because then that person feels like, hey, she's paying attention, she's listening, and she's willing to help me if I don't have something. And I know I'm gonna succeed here. And then you're gonna get a happier team member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you, thank you.
awesome. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, so we were talking about on 170 up to 172, the four models, the four basic models. The beginning of the book, we got through mindset, we got through how a millionaire thinks. We talked about the basics of the four models. And just to review, once again, to go back to page 123, 123 is the picture, is the visual of the four models and how they work at 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the first one is economic model, which is where we do our thinking. Lead gen is where we do our earning. Budget is where we net the money. And organizational model is where we start to receive the money. That's where we all want to be at some point in our lives. So, ladies, Orly, Patty, do you have anything to summarize where we're at or where we're going?
Well, where we're going is starting to look at our numbers and
Yeah.
how we break it down, which is interesting because I actually went over my P&L with my coach on Monday. And that was really not so much eye-opening, but really gave me a lot of clarity as to where my money is going and where I need to focus on tracking what I'm spending to see if I'm getting the correct ROI.
Orly, how often are you meeting with them? Quarterly, monthly?
Oh, well, this is my weekly coach, my MAPS coach.
Yep.
So I
Okay.
do get my P&L from my bookkeeper once a month.
Okay.
And I just got my Amex statement, which is the bulk of my expenses. So my task today is to really go through that because it was higher than it normally is. So I need to scrutinize and see why. I pretty much know why. We've been doing more listings, therefore more mailings and we're selling some more just sold cards. So that's probably where the bulk of it is going, but I want to clarify that and confirm that.
So, that's an interesting expense, because that expense is, it's an operational expense, and yet it's kind of like a cost of sales, right? Because it only happens when you have the listings, but the listing might not close. So you might not get income against it, but it has to happen only when it triggers when you take a listing.
Right.
So it would be proportionate to the income that would come, even if you didn't sell all of those listings, it. If one fell through, you're still going to get tons of income off of the listings, which would generate the income to hit against the cost of sale for the marketing.
Right. My MAPS coach always says to me, what's your focus this week? And my focus is lead gen and listings, because listings feed the machine.
Thank you. So you're looking at your budget, and now you're getting a P&L monthly. If everybody is hearing that, monthly, we're looking at the P&L. Weekly, I'm looking at my personal budget, and then monthly, I'm looking at the business budget as well. So just my opinion. Patty, anything that you have for where we're going or where we came from?
Well, we've had a nice overview, which is, kind of a high level. And now we're going to drill down a little bit more specifics. So I'm
Okay.
looking forward to that.
So with the economic model, if we would go to page 175, we start to get into the millionaire real estate agent models. Reminder of the beginning, Gary didn't call it the $100,000 real estate agent. It's the millionaire real estate agent. So we're making millionaire models. And what I find is as we see what this millionaire model looks like, we can kind of push over to page 178 for a second. And if you look at 178, there's a figure on the bottom, figure 30. And figure 30 shows you, in order to net $1 million as the rainmaker of your business, you would need to bring in $2.4 million in commissions. So it's just a math problem. One would take a look at that and say, well, That's a lot of GCI.
Mhm.
And there are people on the call here that have been close to that GCI. If not, will hit it this year. If not, have hit it before.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah,
I was trying to quantify that and see how that is possible.
I think-
Because, and where they, I know they're just examples,
sure.
but I
I-
can say that, at looking at my numbers, I netted that, but yet didn't have the 700 and the 2.4.
You
So-
did, Paula. We're coming from a different mindset.
Okay,
We never consider cost of sales because I had the same issue coming from a traditional company. If you added up all of your income, your gross income from your buyer's agents, you add that onto your GCI. So you add it and then you subtract it. So,
got
I never understood that either, because why am I adding something and then subtracting it to get to the same point where I am right now?
exactly.
But it's looking at your business as a whole and looking at the gross, really gross GCI of everything that's coming into the team, not just you.
Team, because I'm always thinking, yeah, okay.
Personal.
Because I was always told you're not doing a team goal, you're doing an individual goal. When I had a team goal, it wasn't good for my buyer's agents because they had a different goal.
Right,
Then it's different in terms of numbers and then goals.
Right.
right.
So,
So
yeah,
if
So-
that does 100,000 in income, you add that 100,000 to your GCI.
So great conversation. Like, if, let's just say this here, these 9 ladies were one big team. Orly's our team leader. And we all have a goal. And this is where Paula just said her team members had a goal, but it didn't fit into her goal really. Or her goal didn't match up with, like, was her goal going to satisfy their goals? Was their goals going to satisfy her goals? That is a real great question when you're bringing people into your world. What are they looking to get from being on the team or in your business? Just in your business. What are they looking to get from you being in your business? And then if you understand what they're looking to get, you may have to make your goal bigger. You may have to go, wow, in order to make room for this talent in my business, I have to think bigger. They have to be able to make their goal.
and
And as a lead,
I'm sorry to interrupt, and understand that if their goals are not where you are, doesn't mean they're not a good buyer's agent or team member. It's that this is what their goal is. And if you input your goal on them, well, I had lots of tears.
thank you. So when you're putting, you can't want more than they want.
For themselves, right? Because then they're living a lie. They're disappointing you. They're disappointing themselves. And that brings a lot of negative culture into the team.
Internal destroying. I mean, I saw one person on my team who was in the wrong seat, who was getting stretched too far, who was not saying anything because her behavior, and I caught it very quickly. It was years ago, but I caught it quickly. And when I sat down and had the conversation with that person that, hey, how did that feel this month? Oh, I don't know. I said, what do you think it's going to feel like when it's 200 units? This was somebody that was working in our MCA department. And they go, oh my God, I can't do it. I can't do it. Please get me out of here. And I said, I have the perfect spot for you. What would you think if it was an assistant position like that? And we went right, and now she's flourishing. She's still in our company and she's flourishing. Before that, I would think she was going to get out of the business or even worse, right? So when we look at that 2.4, getting back to page 178 on the figure 30, 2.4 million is what's coming into the business of Paula Clark. And then the buyer's agents have a piece of it, which is part of the cost of sale. The listing specialist has a piece of it, which is part of the cost of sale. The referrals that come in from Long Island, South Jersey, those are a piece of cost of sale. So when we look at the cost of sale number and it's at 700,000, you think, I'm not going to spend 700,000 on that. Yes, you will. If you want to satisfy some people's goals, imagine you have 3 buyer's agents that they all want to make 150 a year.
And
Right
that
there.
700, and that 700 includes hiring more people to satisfy all the new business and the additional business to get to that 2.4.
Right.
Yes.
And Mary Beth, I believe the referrals going out is part of that as well.
Yep. You're paying 25% out, or sometimes, hey, what if we got a referral from like Cardis or something, and it's 41% that we got to pay. So that is all cost of sale, only happening when the sale closes. Now, the other one though, Paula said, you know, when she brings people in, there's two types of people that we bring in. We have admin salaried people that have base salaries. Those are operational expenses. And then we have agents that are commission based. The commission based agents would find themselves in the cost of sale expenses.
Mhm.
The salaries and the admin are going to go
It's
into the
operational.
operating. Yeah. So, and Orly, what kind of other expenses are you seeing on that P&L in your operating expenses? Like
So,
examples of categories.
Okay, so what we obviously have the salaries, we have marketing. A lot of it is marketing because I'm putting myself out there in a new company, so I'm rebranding. I need to do that. Some of it is education. My coach, you know, that's $1,000 a month, worth it to me to keep me focused. So education, whether it's conferences, what else is in there? I mean, there are repetitive. Zillow, that's a big one. That's a big one.
Lead generation, database management tools, marketing tools, any subscriptions that you have.
Right.
You're-
KCM,
you know,
we discussed that. And, you know, one of the things that we picked up on was I have a subscription to KCM and Inman News. How often am I reading it? It was the least amount. However, it's $300 a year if I add it up. Do I want to keep it? Do I want to eliminate it?
and how will you measure that?
Well, in that particular case, if I'm not using it, then get rid of it. Even if
There
it's
you go.
$300, it's $300.
Or
That's right.
maybe, Orly, and I want to talk to you about that, nothing to do with anything, but how you can use it differently. Look at it that way too. Because if you're not using it, maybe you should be.
Right. Excellent point, Paula.
Excellent point. Excellent.
Revisit it.
Kind of like the like $20 app that you have for the exercise that you're not using, that you're like, okay, it's $20 a month though, and I could pay
Yeah.
50 and go to the gym, but neither one is happening. So,
Yeah.
but I'm getting a Peloton, ladies. All right.
Mary
So,
Beth?
yeah.
On page 157 is kind of an outline of expenses,
Mhm.
salaries, lead gen, occupancy, technology, phone, supplies, education dues. Orly, you hit a lot of these.
Yep.
Equipment, auto insurance.
Yep. And yep. And you said education and dues, any kind of conferences you're going to go to.
Yeah.
Okay. So now going back to page 175, on the bottom of that, it shows you gross commission income. Let's be very clear. That is the attorney check, or in some states, the title company check that we get, that we bring back to our broker. Okay. It's not the check that we get. It's not the check that's not what we claim on our 1099 or what we claim with our accountant. It is the actual attorney check. So that is the gross commission income. If you look at figure 28 on that page, it says gross commission income minus cost of sale minus operating expenses equals net income. So now page 176 is, we talked about what cost of sale is, all the different types of cost of sale, only when a deal closes and money's paid out. Operating expenses, Patty gave a great example, 157. There's a list of that for you. Net income is what you then would be left with. And I will tell you, as we get into the budget model, there are things that just eat away at that profit, eat away. And we can find, I mean, now with our MLS and with the tools that we have in Command, we could probably replace a lot of things that we're spending subscription money on. And there's less expensive ways to do things now. So doing the math, page 177 is what we talked about, the GCI minus the COS minus the operating expenses equals net income. And if we look at page 179, what happens is the $2.4 million in GCI, if you look at the average price, we're in a very blessed area of the country. This scale doesn't even go up to 500,000. Okay, so this is based on a $300,000 average sale price in figure 31. It says you would need to close 267 units to make $1 million. Now, if we were to think about it, just divide it up, okay? if I were to close 267 units at an average of the 300, which we know most of our average is about 600. So then you could cut that right in half. You take that 267 and you divide that by 2. We're only talking about 133 transactions for the year.
Only.
Right, yeah, well, and I say this only because look at this for a second. At 133, which is more like our market, divide that by 12. That's 11 transactions a month. If we have 4 people working on the team, just 4 active agents, dividing that by 4, and we're expecting every agent to bring 2 to 3 transactions. Maybe the Rainmaker is bringing a 3 to 4 every single month, solid. And you have buyer agents or realtor partners, somebody's maybe got a listing specialist that are bringing 2 transactions a month. You can hit that very easily. And so I think we go, oh my gosh, $1 million and oh my gosh, 300 transactions. Like, how would I do that? You're not going to do it alone. I'll tell you that. And you have to start where Cheryl's starting, because you're also not going to start saying like, okay, Patty, can you run this buyer? Orly, you run this buyer. Cheryl, you, Pat, Paul, you, and I have no core admin to support you ladies. That is not the way to go. Go ahead. Somebody wanted to say something.
No, that's exactly how I run my team. I mean, we average about 14 transactions a month. So I'm bringing in up to 8 to 10 listings. The buyer's agents are running with the leads. They're running with, and Lillian, my admin, my client care coordinator, is making sure that all the paperwork is in order, that the closings are getting what they need. And it's really, I shouldn't say effortless, but it's a well-oiled machine that is running on automatic pilot.
Orly, when did you first hire, I'm assuming an admin?
Yes. Admin
Was that your first hire? When was that?
28 years ago. She's still with me, Kathy. She's 75, working from home for the last 14 months. She's running my database at this point. She sends the letters out to my clients, reminding them of what they need to do to get the CO. So she's kind of become an assistant admin over the years because A, she didn't want to get licensed. So I needed to hire somebody that was licensed, and B, being 75, her technological skills aren't there. So, you know, she's still part of the team part-time, but I recognized that A, I needed a good client care coordinator with technical skills, organizational skills, and leadership skills to run the team, and a marketing assistant as well. So I've got a marketing admin because there's so much to be done in marketing these days with the internet and launching listings that there's no way with the volume that we do that one admin can do it all.
And kudos to you for the loyalty card.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. How do you keep your people, Orly? Like, what is it about your organization that is sticky?
That's interesting because I was listening to the podcast this morning of Wendy Papazan and her 3 ladies. And actually the podcast this morning happened to be about culture and the challenges that we're having with culture over COVID. But that's really what it's about. I just sent an email out to my team this morning, trying to get a lunch together finally in 2 weeks. So it's acknowledging Carol's birthday on Tuesday, while Lisa, my other buyer specialist, covered her home inspection so she could take the day off and celebrate her birthday. So it's treating them like a family. It's getting them to a like-minded culture of learning. So we read books together. We go to conferences together. So we're all growing in the same direction. And with Lillian, my new admin, who's there for less than a year, I am indoctrinating her into our It's My Pleasure Ritz-Carlton culture. So I listen to her on the phone. I watch her intonation, the words that she's using with our clients, because sometimes we just want to get the message across and it's very didactic. And I said, soften up. These are our clients. You know, they're not used to doing this. They're overwhelmed. They're stressed. So soften your voice. You're there to help them. What else can I do to assist you? So it's you know, all the nuances of the business.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good tip, Orly. Soften your voice.
Especially D's. You know, we
Yeah.
tend to just want to get it done, but you have to be mindful of the person listening to you.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to share, here's what the $1 million model looks like. You ladies can see my screen?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, so here it is. The formulas are in. I had shared this file before, but at the $1 million mega agent. Now, here's what I get challenged with. In our average price point, we don't need the amount of units. Notice that it's 100 units, seller units, and 100 buyer units at an average of 500,000 to bring in 50 million in each at an average of 2.5 will bring the 2.5 million to get you to $1 million because the 30, 30, 40, you're going to net 40% of the income. So it's 100 units, whereas in a different market, notice, let's see if it was 300,000 average price point. And this is where, as we talk to people throughout the country, it's 167 units. So that makes for what, like 335 units, 34 units, right? 135 more units than you'd have to do in the average price point of 500. 134 units more is Orly's business last year. That took 2 admin, 3 admin, multiple buyers agents. So when we look at the cost that it will cost us to run a business at 500,000 average, I don't believe we need as much admin, as many admin, and I don't believe we need as many people because of the income that comes off of each unit. So this is where, when I look at operating and cost of sale, because we live in New Jersey, we may be able to get away with making a little less than the 2.5 to take home $1 million. But anyway, this is a model for a reason, because Gary Keller didn't just survey the agents out of Texas. He surveyed agents throughout the country when he built this book and the models. Okay, so these are best business practices. So going back to this, is these numbers are with 65% conversion, 75. So let's talk about this for a second. This is the economic model. These yellow spots, 75, 65, 500, 2.5, 50. You get to decide that. You get to decide, what commission do I take when I sit at the table? Do I take 3%? Do I want to go on 205 appointments? Or do I want to go on 171 appointments? Well, that's where I'm going to start sharpening up my axe and start asking for 3% when I'm at the table, because I'm worth it. Okay, do I go after $500,000 average, or am I just going to bump up a little bit to go to 600,000? I'm going to knock it down again, 30 appointments, because I'm able to increase my average price point. Okay, these yellows you're in control of. Now these two here, this is time and skill and time over time. Okay, when you go on a listing appointment, what are the chances, the conversion rate? What are the chances that you're going to take the listing? Now, Gary says in the book, we run from 65% to 80%. Ladies, what do you find in your business?
Mine is 90 or above.
So
Wow.
90 or above.
Well,
So
because, well, most of my calls are literally come list me calls. I'm not competing with anyone. I've already, as I was told yesterday, you know, your reputation precedes you. They're not even thinking of anybody else. I can take a listing in literally 15 minutes. If I know I have them.
it's because years and
Mhm.
years of referral, and now you're receiving, you're on the receiving end.
Exactly.
This isn't
This doesn't
microwave.
happen. This
No.
doesn't just happen. I mean, I literally got 5 come list me calls this week.
Now, when you take the listing, what are the chances that it sells? So listing taken to actual closing.
Well, yes. So this is, in this market, it's a no-brainer. If you're
Yeah.
not selling a listing in this market, you have to sharpen your scripts in getting it priced correctly. Don't let them lead you, because sellers are getting greedy right now. So you will be left hanging with the listing that doesn't sell. And in this market, shame on you, because everything is going to
Everything's
sell.
selling. And I put 90% because, you know, things do happen. Maybe they decide to stay together, or somebody buys somebody out, or,
Right.
you know, the job doesn't get the relocation and they're not going to move. So you do have to have some fallout in here. But here's the difference between, now Orly's saying her conversion, and she knows it because she tracks it, is 90%. And she would have to go on 103 listing appointments. Her team, her business would have to go on 103 listing appointments a year to bring the 1.2 on the listing side in.
So it's
Now-
actually more than that. It's actually more than that, because I think I go on an average of 170 listing appointments a year. My average
Okay.
is a week. However, I've got people from whatever, 10, 15 years ago that you went on a listing appointment that aren't ready, that are now ready. So when I list, you know, houses, people say, oh my God, how did you get that? Well, I met them 3 years ago, 5 years ago, nurtured them, follow up. So not everybody is ready to list just because they call you for a market analysis.
So, and to that point, you know, maybe if we looked at some of those that weren't ready and we knocked this down to 80% only because some of them are for 2 years out or not, it's not that you're not getting the listing, you're just not getting it this year.
Exactly.
So this is what would happen. Let's just say for these numbers' sakes, it's a 500,000 average and she's taking 80% of the listings and 90% of them are selling. Well, a different agent who comes along and is, hey, you still can compete, but let's say only 65% of yours sell and 65 of them list with you because you just are, you're still, now you have to go on 237 listing appointments. If 80% of them sold, well, now you have to go on 192. It's a numbers game. Now, if you looked at 192 and you're like, wow, that's a lot. We're talking about making $1 million. We're not talking about earning $40,000 a year. You want to make $1 million, you have to run a business. You have to hold it accountable. You have to know your numbers. And you have to think about this. Okay, 192 listing appointments. Let's just say we were a little better than that. 156 listing appointments. How am I going to go on that? Divide that by 12. We're talking about 14 a month. How many listing agents could you have working on your team? How many could you really go on every week if you weren't doing anything but talking to potential sellers to bring that in for your team?
That's the key, Mary Beth, because I think the average single agent is thinking, how am I going to go on all of those appointments plus run buyers? I do 6 listing appointments a week effortlessly. I mean, I can do them in literally, if you think about it, and I give myself an hour.
Sure.
I give myself 15 minutes to get from one to the next. So in less than 4 hours, I can do 3 listing appointments, signed, done. Half my day is done. I just did half my quota for the week.
That's the job, is to do that. And we get in all the other stuff. And all the other stuff matters while we're getting to this level. And yet, if we could just identify the top 20%, stay in our lane, figure out how to leverage ourselves with the other stuff, we'd be able to build the business stronger. All right, so back to the book on page 181, there's a triangle that kind of shows that. How many monthly sales would you need? And so we understand that it's just a numbers game. As you get better with your conversion of we're having an appointment, you're signing the listing, we're putting the sign in the ground, we're going to closing. As you get better at that, you can go on less appointments, but until then, you're looking at the appointments that you need to generate. That will then bring us into the lead generation model. Because then we have to decide, well, how will we communicate with these people to generate those appointments? Because those appointments don't just show up. There's prospecting and marketing that has to go into it to generate those appointments.
You know, Mary Beth, back on page 174, while the commitment to delivering high quality real estate service is fundamental, and I think everyone on this call embraces that, is fundamental to becoming a top producing agent, it is not the primary determining factor in creating a $1 million real estate business. It's necessary, but not sufficient unto itself. That says a lot.
There's a book for that. Talent is overrated, or talent is not enough.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so true. I'm so glad that you pointed that out. And here's what Russell Shaw says: the cleverest thing I've ever done is to learn to delegate. My people actually do things better than I do. Ain't that the truth?
We're afraid to let go.
And page 180 on the bottom, it says conversion rates may vary depending on a number of factors, including current market conditions, the effectiveness of your presentation, the quality of the leads, and the consistency of your follow-up. Okay. And this is our extensive research and experience can guide you to some of the solid benchmarks. Okay. I will tell you, if you are having a challenge, it's going to be one of those. Go and practice your presentation. Go and practice your scripts. Get on script and role play. Every morning we're doing script and role play, 9:30 to 10. Get on that. Practice with the other agents before you start talking to people. Get comfortable with the language of the market of the moment. All right. And any last words, page 182, as we finish up, 183 gives a great visual of the economic model at that 250 average sale price. So you'd have to, split everything in half, but this is the machine. This is how it works to filter down to the income. To
And
then
in
give
the,
you,
and in the beginning, I mean, the ideal is 50-50, but in the beginning, when you're building a team, it's going to be slanted heavier towards the listing side. So
That's
be
right.
prepared for that. It's going to be 70-30, as you've got a new buyer's agent who is maybe not converting, maybe not getting as many leads to closing. So 70-30, then 60-40, and then eventually 50-50 is the goal.
listing to sells to
Correct.
buyers to sellers ratio inside the business.
Correct, as you leverage yourself.
Yeah, because we know that the business is 50-50, right? For every seller, there is a buyer. But to Orly's point, if we're looking at where do we make the most dollar per hour and how do we get the business to where she's gotten it, is you start on, I got to get listings, because listings generates the whole machine. And then as you bring a buyer's agent in, that's when you start to see the 70-30, 70% of your business be listings start to whittle down and start to even up. But I would say in the beginning, and this is, I think Patty and I are having this challenge, normally when you get into the business, you're buyer heavy.
Right.
So our new agents are usually buyer heavy in the first year. I know I did
Sure.
16 buyers, 5 listings.
We all are, because you've got, like a surgeon, 1 hour to go on an interview and get a listing. That is much easier and harder. That's skill. And you've got one shot. You blow that shot, you don't get the listing, you've got nothing. Buyers cost the buyers nothing.
Right.
You can
Plus,
schlep
I
them
think-
around for 6 months, become their best friends, and eventually sell them. But look at all the time and effort that you put in to get that. But when you hone your skills, your lead gen skills, your scripting skills, 1 hour, boom, you've got the listing and you've got the commission check.
Plus, agents are afraid of pricing. That is just a huge mountain to them. How do I properly price?
But that's scripting and learning the skill of I mean, right
And
now,
learning the inventory.
right now it's the easiest thing to price, because my script is you cannot underprice a house in this market. You cannot underprice a house in any market, but especially in this market. So the strategy is, no matter where I price your house, I guarantee you will have the leverage of choosing the strongest buyer.
Your phone makes me want to dance.
Okay.
I've been telling sellers, quite frankly, that, because I'm having that challenge where everybody thinks their house now is worth $1 million. And I'm saying, listen, I said, there's really no science to this right now, because our market is really, like the wild, wild west. I said, but you can choose, we can price it higher, and maybe you'll get an offer or two, and then you have 2 offers to choose from, or we can price it where it should be, again, recognizing that you cannot underprice your home, and we can maybe potentially even have more offers to choose from, which puts you in a better position. So that's kind of how I've been trying to explain it to the sellers, because I am definitely getting challenged with that on listing appointments, with everybody wants to just go so high.
Right. And with the auction mentality, I remind the seller, when you have multiple offers, the buyers own the price. And when they own the price, you have more leverage with inspections, closing dates, and everything else, because they decided what your house is worth.
I also heard that
Good one.
very strategic in today's pricing. There was actually a call on 2020, they talked about strategically pricing homes and the numbers that work versus don't. And so the buyers actually want a choice of what to offer. They don't want to be told what to offer. So if you price it higher, they're not making that offer. If you price it lower, they have the choice to go up to where the number that they feel they want to go up to.
Interesting.
The mentality. So
Yeah.
to understand it, you got to be in it. You got to be in this market to understand it, or try to, or attempt to. All right. Well, we are closing up. We finished up with 182, goes into 183. The next is the 185 to 192, where we're going to do a deep dive on the lead gen model, okay? So if we review page 185 to 192 for next week. And believe it or not, we only have a few more weeks left. So
Are you gonna do this again?
we will do it again. We absolutely will do it again.
Maybe even shift to the shift.
Yeah, shift to the shift.
There is
But we
talk
will,
about doing the shift book, yes.
yes, the shift book is great. And it's very timely. And what I would ask everybody is to really, really read these pages so we can have a little more of a mastermind on this, because this is where we get into some, I think we could be talking about strategies and tactics that are working for today's market. This is where the book could be a little dated. It's giving us great ideas of prospecting and marketing ideas, but then we aren't in the technology world when this book was written. So we wouldn't be talking about smart plans or social media. And now that's such a big part of our business. So let's do a deep dive on lead gen next week. As
Sounds great.
always, awesome
Sounds great.
seeing you ladies. Love my Wednesday mornings.
Yeah.
Bye,
All
girls.
right, have a
Ready?
fabulous week. And remember, next Tuesday is our female empowerment mastermind at 4 o'clock on Tuesday.
Yes, and if anybody has any purpose questions that you want to focus on, I am very open. I have a couple of ideas, but I want it to be something that we all own.
Yeah,
So
all
reach
right,
out.
so email orally, text orally, call orally,
Yes.
only orally.
Only Orly.
Totally.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Nick. Bye, Natalie. Bye, Better.